back at it the next day, man, I could not put my name in that passage. And the explanation for it was ego fatigue. I allowed the situation to wear me down to the point that I no longer was living with authenticity and good character. Hello and welcome to 7-Minute Sessions with Dan. Today we are talking about integrity. Integrity is not a huge topic in today's society, though I believe it is vital for societies in general, but especially for us as individuals. If we want to have good relationships that last, a lot of the people that come to me for counseling are desperate, on the fringes of their relationship, right at the end of the rope. Things are falling apart. And if we trace back to the source of the problem, usually what happened was somewhere there was a breakdown in integrity. So what exactly do we mean by that? What is integrity? There's different, ways of defining it, of course, but I like the way of thinking of it as a combination of authenticity and good character. Authenticity, being true to yourself, what you believe, your morals, your values, and good character, which is objective morals and values. And that's maintaining that even when it's difficult, right? Because that's the hard part, right? It's easy to do that when everybody's looking. You get a pat on the back and you get all the rewards, and it's the easy choice. It's harder when nobody's looking, when it benefits you a lot to cut corners or cheat or lie or steal, yada yada yada, right? When it feels good in temptation in the moment, the instant gratification feels way better than the long-term payoff. Or maybe there just doesn't feel like there's ever going to be a payoff to do the right thing and maintain integrity, but there's a lot of payoff to do the wrong thing. That's when, there's a lot of temptation to not have integrity. But just from observation and experience, people tend to reap what they sow in terms of integrity. Those who maintain integrity in their life tend to have a lot more stability, a lot more fulfillment, a lot more happiness over the long run of their life, as opposed to those who don't see this as a priority. And I do think it's especially important when we're talking about relationships. I think it is one of the best ways of expressing love to a partner, expressing love in friendships, expressing love to your neighbor, no matter what it is. I think integrity is an important part of loving. You think of the First Corinthians passage, love is patient, love is kind. That whole passage really is a great expression of someone who has integrity. They love well, they maintain integrity. And I love that passage, as cliche as it might be. One thing that I've learned recently that I think is an excellent challenge is if you take that passage and you insert your name in there, instead of saying love is kind, love is patient, right? Put your own name in there. Daniel is patient, Daniel is kind. So I want to try that with you right now. Think of your own name. I'm just going to say you, and I want you to see if that describes you well. See how you feel about it. So you are patient, you are kind, you do not envy, you do not boast, you're not proud, you do not dishonor others, you're not self-seeking, you're not easily angered, you keep no record of wrongs, you do not delight in evil, but rejoice with the truth. You always protect, always trust, always hope, and always preserve. That's a challenge. There are times when that breaks down in us. And I see two specific temptations that we have for sacrificing our integrity. And I think other people make it difficult. Other people are often the problem. We're a big part of the problem too, of course, but other people make it challenging for us to maintain integrity. And those two influences from other people are, one, peer pressure, other people pressuring you to do things that are outside of either your sense of authenticity or your sense of good character, right? Your own personal morals and absolutes, or just uh, objective morals and absolute morals and ethics, right? Peer pressure, your desire to fit in, be a part of a group, gain the approval and esteem of other people, that tempts you to give in to pressure from other people to do things that sacrifice your integrity. Another form of influence from other people is something called ego fatigue, which is simply just you get worn down by people. People wear you out, your patience gets worn thin, and that makes you sacrifice who you really are. It makes you no longer patient, no longer kind. You just become kind of a raging, angry, you know, words, right? That happened to me just the other day, to be honest with you. Generally, I try to be the best example of Christ that I can be. I try to be all of those things that Paul listed in 1 Corinthians. But sometimes I don't do that well, and ego fatigue can be an explanation for that. You get burnt out mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and that causes you to become someone that you don't like. And we're trying to sell a property right now. There was an issue with the restrictions on this property. The neighbor could have signed to change the restrictions and the sale would have gone through just fine. The neighbor was being pretty irrational, wasn't communicating why she was against the restriction. And then when she finally admitted why, we could have given her exactly what she wanted, but then she still wouldn't agree to it. And so it was just very frustrating for me. And in this process, I'm trying to give everybody exactly what they wanted, and yet she wouldn't work with me. And that caused me to get frustrated and lash out and act like somebody that I don't like. And when I looked back at it the next day, man, I could not put my name in that passage. And the explanation for it was ego fatigue. I allowed the situation to wear me down to the point that I no longer was living with authenticity and good character. I sacrificed my own integrity. And so we have to be on guard against these things. And I think there's two primary strategies we can have to guard against ways that we might sacrifice our integrity. One is having a very strong sense of who we are, knowing our personal identity, knowing our personal values and ethics, and our sense of morality is very important, and not being so needy and dependent on other people's approval that we're willing to so quickly sacrifice that just to get that. And the second thing is being really conscious and aware of our own ego fatigue when we're getting worn down, allowing ourselves to step outside of that situation and ground ourselves and recoup before we go back and address it, because we don't want to be going into those situations and addressing them when we're worn down and not ourselves and not able to address them in a good state of mind. So I hope those strategies help you, and if this content has helped you, I would just ask you, if you're able to support this page that I'm trying to help grow and just be a ministry to other people, just go ahead and hit subscribe, and I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you.